Hi guys, welcome to the Moment stage. I'm Ivan Brezak-Brkan, the founder of Netocracy, and I'll be moderating this talk with Bruno Kovacevic.
Hi.
Bruno is the director of software development and testing at Raiffeisen Croatia. And we're going to talk about going from Monolith to microservices and some practical experiences that they've had in recent years, from headaches to hopefully less headaches and more fun experiences, if that's possible. But before we start, just a little background about Raiffeisen. So, banks, at some point a few years ago, they invited me to a meeting saying that, oh, we're modernizing. We're going to have a new tech stack. It's going to be open source. We have a new team. We're going to really modernize. Now, my experience, I don't know about you, with a lot of enterprises, a lot of corporations, a lot of banks and telecoms is, sure, you're going to modernize. Good story, bro, good story. So at that moment, their technical director invites me to a meeting, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll listen to you, whatever, modernizing. And I end up at a meeting with 11 people across their management board who actually want to do something. So I was like, okay, why these 10 people with little old me, a journalist? And from what I've seen in recent years, they have walked the walk, not just talked the talk. So I'm really happy to talk to Bruno today about everything that's...
I'm happy too to talk to you.
I'm glad that you're happy. This is Bruno's first Fireside chat at a conference, so please bear with us. It should be interesting. Just to give a little background, what's your prior experience before coming to Raiffeisen and being the director? What have you done before as far as the technical field?
Actually, I'm almost 20 years in enterprise software development. My prior, let's say, factors are retail, let's say, manufacturing, and last 7 years I'm in financial sector.
Okay.
Actually, I've been in a lot of development roles as a developer, as an integration expert, actually project manager,
So everything,
architect,
everything in between.
Everything
in
you
between.
can imagine.
Okay.
I've been there.
Okay,
In
so
development.
you've done everything. You've been in the in the first line of defense, attack, and now a manager. I mean, that's the easy part, right?
Yeah.
That's the easy part. But we'll get into it. So at the moment, as far as the bank, what are you guys doing at the moment in the process of going from Monolith to microservices? Where are you?
At the moment, we should step back 5 years ago when we start creating a Starboost platform. It's an integration platform with a lot of business logic that enables all our digital not only digital, and that are covering our legacy systems. So basically, we are now on a 50 plus microservices we are developing. We have as I said, platform that enables development of microservices. We are using a lot of cutting-edge technologies on this platform and hiring developers.
What does cutting-edge mean? I mean, again, when people talk about some old-school industries like finance, which the focus is always on being secure and we need to move fast and be ready and everything, what does cutting-edge mean to you?
Cutting edge means to me containerized applications, streaming technologies, all the latest stuff in development. Yeah?
And for a bank like you, so okay, we've seen examples like Netflix, which is I guess the most famous example of microservices. What are the benefits for a company in the financial industry?
Actually, there is a lot of benefits. They created a lot of architectural patterns that we are using, so we are.
Can you give an example, maybe?
I don't know.
Okay, we'll get it. We'll get more into that. Going into everything, what's been the biggest challenge for you and for the team that you've seen along the way?
Biggest challenge for
going from Monolith to microservices, either in the beginning or now.
Okay, the biggest challenge was to run the whole damn thing in parallel.
In one sense, in parallel.
In parallel, I mean, old system, legacy systems, and new platform.
Couldn't you just get I mean, get rid of legacy, what all developers would want?
You cannot get rid of legacy just like that. Yeah.
Okay, so what was your strategy? What did you see that works well?
Actually, there is a few strategies, depends on the application and how application works. If you have a, I don't know, online product, online application that works, you cannot just get rid of it. So if it's transactional systems, what? You cannot just get rid of it. You can strangle them. You can strangle functionalities, carve out some functionalities, replace it with microservices or microservices are not magic stick. They will not solve all your problems. Huh?
How did you organize the team as far as going through that? I mean, a lot of people obviously don't like working on legacy systems. Was it a transition, the whole old team going to the modern? Was it hiring new people? Was it creating new teams? What worked for you? What didn't work?
Actually, there was two streams. There was a legacy stream and a new, let's say, platform stream. New strategy was to include legacy resources and new platform resources in one team, in one product, so they can manage all the backlog and the resources on one place.
Can you give an example of a product, for example, that worked that way?
For example,
The mobile app or...
no, we don't have legacy mobile app.
Oh, okay.
For example, we have a lending app.
Okay.
We have an old lending application, legacy application. Inside this team, there is a new team that builds a new application. They're strangling one functionality, so they're working together, and that's it.
And have you had any conflicts as far as the team goes, as far as using new technology, stuff like that? How do they collaborate? Was there also, I mean, there's a lot of people that have obviously worked in the bank for years on legacy app solutions and so on. Then you have new hires coming in. Was it a challenge as far as culture goes, maybe, or new processes?
Okay, there wasn't really any challenge. The old people that are working on a legacy app are still working on legacy apps. The real challenge is to onboard new generation on legacy app. It's
Why?
impossible.
Why was that a challenge?
They don't want to work on legacy application.
It was just a matter of them not wanting, just working on the new cool stuff, right?
Yeah, they want to work on blockchain, streaming, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Did you have to change your onboarding processes then in order to, or was it just a matter of just going through the pain and then?
No, it's just a matter of going to the pen in searching for people that want to work on legacy.
And how did you search for them? I mean, for those that obviously hiring developers and engineers is very hard in 2021, how do you look for someone that also will work on the legacy, not just the new stuff, the microservices and so on?
Actually, legacy in our case is new, let's say new. It's a Java application, but legacy is system, not technology. So it's not really hard to find employees on this technology.
So you're basically looking for people that could work on the system and then transitioning them later on to microservices.
Don't get me wrong, but it's hard to find resources. But I would like to say that from this part technology, it's not hard to find someone who will work in Java.
So if the technology wasn't the hard part, what was, in order to get them to work on the legacy?
They don't work on all the bank code, you know, the monoliths and the old architecture and old patterns and this stuff.
So as far as those old core systems and stuff like that, how long do you think that you'll still have to work in parallel?
I cannot estimate, but we are currently in the process of, as I said, we are trying to strangle some functionalities, and
Do you have any best practices maybe as far as strangling legacy systems goes?
Best practice.
Yeah.
Best
How to
practice.
strangle someone, or in this case, a legacy system.
Strangle is you choose one small part of functionality that could be replaced by a new system.
Was it based on user research or something else? Just on analytics, how much what was used?
Not really. It's not really connected to users. It's
Okay.
practically it's backend systems, so it's technical thing.
So you could be strategic about what you want to choose first.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what was the way that you chose? What was strangled first then and replaced by modern systems?
The way, most strategic. We decided to focus on digital channels, so this is always the focus. So, you know, it's probably something from digital part.
And one thing that's different maybe, and you mentioned like using cutting edge technology, was that you do have an open source stack. What does it include, and why did you choose to go that route, which is kind of unusual for a lot of banks, right?
It's really unusual, I think, for the banks. I don't know the bank that are using heavily open source stack. From our perspective, open source, we are gaining with open source a lot of flexibility. We are trying to get rid of vendor lock-in. You get agility. Sorry, I hope you heard me. You get agility, and at the end, it's cost effective. You can invest in experts, people, knowledge, not in software and licenses.
Are engineers, when you do recruiting, surprised that you're using open source as a bank?
They're really surprised. Yeah, it's not really usual for a bank to use open source stack.
What would you suggest to someone that is working on closed systems in an environment or a company like a bank, someone that's used licensed software before, and going to open source? What would you suggest as far as switching to open source or just finding people then? So it's a completely different expectation, right?
It's completely different expectation. Yeah, it's really easier to find people that works on open source than on the legacy systems. What was the question? What would I suggest?
What would you recommend as far as like switching to open source? So you do have to encourage both inside the company and outside that, oh, we need to.
Okay, as I said, you should invest in people. You should invest in experts. You can take any technology you want, but if you don't have the knowledge, then it will be more pain.
How would you, as far as your experience with hiring, define who is an expert in engineering? I mean, we've seen people that have very ninja titles and stuff like that, people with not a lot of years of experience, thinking that they've, done everything. But in your case, for the stuff you do, which is very secure, very important to people, financial systems, what does being an expert mean besides knowing a technology? Is it years of experience? Is it
It's
scale?
actually experience. The technology by itself, it's not really. You're not expert if you know one or two technologies. Experience is something that brings you the expertise.
And how did you, as far as going from, again, the monolith, the legacy, to now microservices, how did the hiring process change as well in the company?
Actually, hiring process is the same. So
So you didn't have to change it.
no.
Was-
Actually, interviews are changed.
So how did they change?
They change in a way that we are looking for specific knowledges. We are looking for proactive people. We are looking for people that want to work on our stack. It's really high-end stack. And capability of that, it's also one of.
As far as proactive, do you think, how did you see people who are proactive and do want to work in banking? Was it that they worked on side projects? Was it the project that they worked for inside their previous companies? What do you prefer when looking for a proactive engineer?
Actually, it's very hard. Yeah. That's
Okay, yeah. Why?
It's very hard to. Okay, we are with our HR, of course. We're having some testing. We're trying to get one-on-one touch and try to get some let's say, I don't know, feeling. But it's really hard to decide is it proactive or not.
But what works? So if you had to choose two or three things, what for you is that somebody is proactive? What would you like to see in an interview?
In an interview,
Yeah,
okay.
to see that someone is proactive. So I'm at an interview, we're talking, and
In an agile world, I would say pull, not push.
you would say,
Pull, not push.
Okay.
You have to pull your. You have to ask questions. You have to.
so what,
give.
what questions would you ask to know that I'm proactive?
What questions?
Yes.
A lot of questions.
Oh, but
You have
what
to be
example,
curious.
for example?
You have to be curious about the job.
Okay.
You're on the
Uh-huh,
interview.
okay.
You-
Oh, okay. I have to ask questions, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen that seniors or juniors react differently as far as when they discover what you're working on?
Of course, yeah. Juniors are not asking questions. Seniors are very cautious. In general, seniors don't like to go to ads. They're not, how do I say, they're not open. You have to ask them for a job. For a job, yeah.
Okay. And as far as supporting the whole process of going, did you? I mean, obviously you had some support from leadership because you can go through it, but how did that look? How did support from the top in the bank look for engineering?
Sorry, didn't get the
So,
question.
did you have support from the leadership of the bank in the process? And how did that support look as far as encouraging you to go ahead with it? Because we've heard about transformations before. I mean, digital transformation has been a keyword for years and years and years, but a lot of them start and then they just don't go anywhere.
There is a few things. First of them, president of the board of Raiffeisen is sitting in
Okay.
this
Try
room,
to
yeah.
be honest. Try to be honest.
I think this is great support.
So just being there for the team,
Yeah.
even in conferences, even for like meetups, stuff like that. As
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And investment. 5 years of investment. I think it's enough support for IT.
Well. What would you suggest to other either directors, or actually, what would you suggest from someone in your position that wants the support from leadership? What should they expect besides coming to conferences and stuff like that? It's a budget, obviously. Is it making it easier for hiring? Is it what helps?
Actually, that's secondary.
Okay.
First of all, you have to get the buy-in from business. You know? You have to bring some business value. Transformation for itself, it doesn't bring any value. You know? We can use technologies. We can use, I don't know. We can hire 200 people, but if nothing is behind that, there is no value. So, you know, okay. So from that perspective, you have to add something to the company. And you have to show it. So, I don't know, first results or I don't know.
So how does that mean that engineering has to move into more of a business mentality, more, or is it working with the business sector of the bank to find a route that works?
I think that we all need to be connected to business. So from that side, you have to know what you're doing. You have to know the reason. So it's all this DevOps stuff, and it's all, you know, it's all
Did
connected
it mean?
to-
Did it also mean educating the rest of the bank on what you were doing in terms of them understanding what going from Monolith to Netflix, going from Monolith to Microservices is, so it's not abstract. It's not just they're working on a technology.
I'm not sure that they need education. It's more technical stuff. It's not only one thing in transformation. So practically, RBA started transformation. We are going in the adaptive organization direction.
What does that mean in your case?
In my case, it means that my people are part of 13 adaptive teams inside bank, product teams inside the bank.
Okay.
Okay.
And those teams are made up of engineers and business people and so on,
Yeah,
or
yeah. They're mixed teams with business.
Was that started by just having one team, or how did it look?
Of course, yeah.
And what were the challenges, maybe?
Of course, it started as one team, and after that, it scaled up. We are now trying to scale the whole thing across the bank. So,
And
what was the challenges of?
yeah, what were the challenges of having adaptive teams with hiring? Again, so you're doing the transformation, you're hiring new people, you have legacy people as well, you're creating new teams. What are some of the challenges that you have faced along the way?
Basically, I think the biggest challenge is people and culture. It's change of mindset,
Okay.
agile way of thinking, working in teams, working on strict frameworks, agile frameworks, Scrum.
How did that transformation look? So what was the situation before, and what is the situation today?
Before
Before
you
going
think-
into the transformationary thing, how did engineering work in the bank? Just for people who might not have worked in a financial institution who don't.
Okay, actually we started with one team, and now we are on 13 teams.
So it just like one day this and the next day
Yes,
that.
yes, yes. No, I'm kidding.
Of course.
Actually, we started with one team. As I don't know, as needs goes, we were building these product teams for needs, and on the way we were learning stuff, and I don't know
Okay. So what are some of the things that you learned
that I learned about what
about leading teams? You said that you learned some things along the way.
the leading teams.
Yeah.
I'm actually not the leader of the team.
Okay.
Agile teams are independent teams.
Okay.
They have the product owners, scrum masters, and team members.
Do you think that it works similarly to like traditional tech companies, or just like tech companies, or is it still different in a bank?
Sorry, can you repeat?
So if you look at a technology company, whatever it is, Infobip, do you think that the team structure and how you work in RBA is similar to that? Is it just like working in a tech company, or is it still different, and how is it different? For example, do you focus more on security because you're completely in finance? Do you focus more on some other aspects that people might not be familiar with?
Actually, we are in highly regulated environment, so I believe that we have more restrictions than Infobip. But we as a IT in RBA are trying to act as IT company.
So an a tech company inside the bank.
Tech company inside the bank, yeah, I think we are good at it. Okay, we have some limitations. Of course, we are still the bank. We are not.
So what are some of limitations, maybe? An example?
For example, limitations are, I don't know, security restrictions, regulations.
Okay. So when you're working from, as you mentioned, like going from legacy to maybe creating a new microservice, what does that regulation change in the process? Is it just a matter of making the whole process longer? Is it a matter of going back and forth with a regulator? How does that look?
Okay, you have to fulfill all the regulations. There is strict standards. There is strict procedure for some things. There is security regulations. You have to fulfill that. So basically, there is a lots of frameworks. There is a lot of things to be covered. Yeah.
We talked before about experimenting. What does experimenting with new technologies work in that kind of regulated environment? Like, what are you experimenting with?
Okay, it's really hard.
Okay. So a good challenge for engineers.
Good challenge for engineers, yeah. I'm not really for experimenting technologies.
Why?
Especially in a bank.
Okay.
Okay, I'm really for using mature technologies that are, let's say, secure, that can fulfill all these regulations, and we are strict on that. So basically, you have to pick the right tool for the job.
Does that mean that in times you have to push back your teams when they want to maybe experiment with some technology that's not mature, and you have to say, oh, wait, we can't do that yet?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're not very happy with it.
And what can they say in order to get you to actually say, okay, we should use that? Is it a matter of it being good on the budget, being good for users? In what cases would you use a technology that's not mature?
In what case?
Yes.
Only if it fills all the regulation and resolves the concrete problem. And it's
As far
only-
as the regulation goes, does that mean that you have to have a good relationship with like the legal department in the bank to go through that, or is that
with,
something
with the
that's
security
engineering?
department.
Security
And
department,
the compliance.
compliance and security, and your best friends. Okay. And as far as going forward, what do you still have in the roadmap in order to finish the transformation in your mind?
I would say that transformation is a never-ending story. You have to transform
Okay.
all the way. You will get to the end of the transformation,
And it starts
what?
again.
You will have the legacy, and it's starting again and again. Huh? So basically, we can say we are in the middle of the transformation. We are pretty mature with stuff that we do. And I don't know.
Do you think that it's hard to then motivate people to go forward as far as the constant change? Are there moments when you do celebrate with your team? Oh, we've had this milestone. We have done all these microservices.
I think that the changes are something that drives the developers. Developers, at least from my perspective, I don't like to stuck in one place and do it.
Because again, we go to the legacy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are waiting to become legacy.
Oh, always. What do you think that companies in your position, so going from Monolith to microservices, shouldn't do? What are some things that you might have either done wrong and you learned from that experience, and you would say, don't go that route, don't do that stuff?
Don't go big bang, that's for sure.
What would Big Bang mean?
Big bang means that releasing a lot of functionalities on one time.
Okay.
So you should have some plan or using some strategies to strangle functionalities and one by one.
Do you have an example of what happened when RBA did the Big Bang?
Actually, I'm in RBA for 1.5 years, so I'm here in the middle of the transformation, so I don't have any.
Were you
experience with Big
surprised
Bang.
when you did come to RBA that? Well, what was your biggest surprise as far as coming to the company and seeing the process?
I was attracted with the methodology and technology that are used in one bank. It's really unusual.
So basically, if there's people who are working in the finance industry or stuff like that, they should look toward one, using mature but new technologies, and on the other hand, the culture of the team, right?
Yes.
Changing. Okay. Let's just check for questions. Are there any questions in the meantime? Okay, we have one question if someone, or two questions if someone can get the mic or not. Oh, I'm going to. Oh, God, my fucking leg. Oh, Jesus. Okay, my leg fell
You need
asleep.
help.
Just a second. Just a second. This was not planned. This was not planned. I literally stuck my leg in. Okay. Jesus Christ. Fuck. Okay, please come.
He's drunk.
I'm drunk. Jesus. Okay, guys, this was not planned, and this is not a joke, and it's not funny.
Is the stairs.
Yeah.
For me, the question is like mainly with when you are actually starting to split into microservices. The biggest kind of choice is what is your reasoning? How are you splitting it? Is by responsibility, or is it domain or language? How are you splitting it from the monolith to microservice?
Thank you.
How did we?
How are you splitting the responsibilities?
Responsibilities, yeah.
Yes.
As I mentioned, we have okay, it's by responsibility, yeah, domain-driven design. So basically, is that the answer?
If you could go maybe into more detail or...
Okay, we have, let's say, it's a favorite payment service. We have one service that is for payments. It's generic service that is used for all the payments in the bank. Is it okay? No?
Okay, you guys can go into detail after maybe the... And the next question, right? My leg is still dead. I'm so sorry. I'm seriously so sorry.
For your perspective, what is big benefits of your challenge in these 5 years?
Benefits. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you for the question.
Big benefits is in this transformation with this new platform is... Okay, se ne čuje. Is transforming to new technologies easier to find people that can work on this new platform. Kako se kaže, product time to market. We have CI/CD with more deployments over the day. Basically, that's it. Cost effective, agility, flexibility. For all technologies, we can pick alternative one. We can switch if there is a need. So.
Thank you. Any more questions? Okay, cool. That's it. We're going to finish up this session. Do you have anything else to add, Bruno, for the end? For anyone that's maybe interested in working with Raiffeisen?
I can add that we are hiring a lot these days, so you can ask me or look for Karriera RBA HR. We're hiring developers, architects, Scrum Masters, all the things. So
Okay.
please, if you're interested, you can contact us.
Great. Thanks so much. Will you be here to answer any questions, maybe? If
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
You can find me at Barba.
He'll be at the Barba, of course, wherever. Thank you for being at this session and enjoy lunch, actually. So, yeah, thank you.
Bye.